Are you ready to ride? I'm getting pretty close. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name's Graham Wilson, and today I'm going to be talking about the first ride of the season in my basement. So, yeah, got some gear out here. I'm all ready. Got the old leather jacket out of the closet, all ready to go, but I'm not going just yet because I'll give you five. Hey guys, like and subscribe. Five. Yeah, five little tips that I always consider before getting on the bike for the first time after taking a few months off for the winter. This week it looks absolutely beautiful here in Windsor, Ontario. And I was thinking, oh, I should take the bike out today after my show, but it was like, yeah, just wait a bit. Sometimes it's better just to be very well planned because just like anything, like flying an airplane, you'll get rusty if you don't do it for a little while. And same thing with riding a motorcycle, even if you've been doing it for lots of years. So we're going to get to five tips. It's something to consider, make your ride a little bit safer for the first one of the season. Oh, and hey, Wrench, I see you popping in here. See now. Oh, Wrench has a little comment. What's the temperature in Fahrenheit? They say you can ride down to your age. I'm 57. That's probably pretty good. Anyways, a little humor to start off. Thanks, Wrench. First tip. Okay, before I get out there. Oh, and hey, Checky's talking about tires exactly because number one is mechanical. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of let's just look at the general mechanical condition of the motorcycle. Okay, so tires, yeah, that's a big one. And hey, Dan, I see you in here too. Uh, it's kind of like, okay, you take the cover off the bike and you're looking at it. How dusty is it? It's got to look cool too. You can't have it too dusty. You got to look good on your first ride. But yeah, okay. Did you do that oil change you meant to in the fall, or did you should you probably do an oil change? Because what can happen is if your bike's sitting in a garage or a shed or something like that, it gets hot, it gets cold, it gets hot, it gets cold, and little bits of condensation can build up in the crankcase. And depending on the design of the bike, same with airplanes too. And so it's kind of like it would be good to have some nice fresh oil in there. It's one less thing to worry about. And I did my oil change in the fall. I know it's all ready to go. And so another one there too I've noticed is that if usually people are pretty lazy about changing their brake fluid, you're supposed to do it every year. And I was always lazy about that too. And then I'd find myself rebuilding master cylinders and calipers and stuff like that. The brake fluid really does attract a lot of moisture, and the more moisture it attracts, it doesn't work as well, and it starts eating up the. There's a little chemical reaction kind of goes on there, and it starts eating up seals on your master cylinder, and you get a squishy brake. So, like, say you got a squishy brake, that's no good. Yeah, front and rear, make sure they're good. If they're what you could do to eliminate the squish is change your brake fluid, and that might get rid of it. But don't go riding around with dodgy brakes. I mean, I've done that. I used to have a bike and it's like, hey, I have anti-lock brakes in the front. Yeah, because they won't lock up because it was too mushy. Not the safest. You give it a couple pumps and it was good. But anyways, it was an old bike and I was broke. But I mean, you can get into trouble that way. I know a guy, it was years ago, and I saw this guy I was walking down the street in the old neighborhood, and some guy came riding down and he pulled up on his motorcycle next to me, and I'm like, oh, hey. And I recognized the guy, and kind of acquaintance, I guess you would say. And I said, oh, you got a motorcycle. Now this he's riding along. He's got flip-flops on. He's got his shorts on, a t-shirt. And he was wearing a helmet. But I'm looking at him, and he's got this old piece of crap rusted out bike. And I look at it, and there's no front brake system on it at all. It's just a rear brake. Now, some old school people are like, yeah, I got my Harley. It's just got a rear brake. Okay, if you got a classic, cool, and you baby it on the nice days, and you got a real good head on your shoulders, it's legal. But this kid was like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, hey, dude, you have a front brake. You're supposed to for the safety. Oh, I didn't get it safety. Yeah. And I'm like, well, how'd you get your plate? Oh yeah, I borrowed my buddy's, and I look at it. It's like it's got an expired sticker on it, man. You're gonna get busted. Oh no, I just take it around the back roads, and I go really careful. Yeah, okay. Next thing you know, a week later, hey, what happened to so and so? It's like, oh, somebody cut him off. You rear-ended somebody, got spent a lot of money in tickets for no insurance, improper plate, following too close. Anyways, that was the end of his motorcycle career, as far as I knew. So keep things all nice and legal and safe and all that stuff. Brakes are important. Tires are also important. Uh, what can happen sometimes if you don't keep track of it is your tires over years can kind of dry rot. You might have really good tread on them still. Maybe you don't ride your bike like me. I don't do big, huge rides or anything. But so you got to kind of keep on it, that make sure they're not getting too cracky. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you want to pass a safety check, there's got to be no cracks in it at all. Have I ridden a motorcycle with cracky tires? Yes, back when I was poor and cheap. And you're just going around the city. You could probably get away with it for a while. But eventually they're going to start getting slow leaks. You have underinflated tires, and that can happen. Just your tires can just lose air over the winter. So you might want to get out the old tire pressure gauge, give it a shot. And so, yeah, oil, brakes, check your tires, tire pressure. Okay. And another thing to check out mechanically is, and now it depends on your bike. I used to have an older Suzuki, and this is going back a few years, and it had carburetors on it. And the way that carburetors work in a motorcycle, the older ones, the one I have, my bike I have now, has fuel injection in it, and I think a lot of bikes have fuel injection these days. But I'll give you kind of a little drawing of something. This is what my bike looked like. Okay, and there's a little valve there, so we got a float. Let's see how good this is. Okay, so what that looks like, that's your carburetor bowl. A lot of bikes will have one carburetor per cylinder. So what can happen here is that you get this is maybe your gas tank here. So the gas from your gas tank's going into here. It goes into this little bowl, and then this is a float on top. So when that thing goes down, this goes up and allows the gas in. So then it fills it back up to here. The float goes back up, and then it closes it off. It's kind of like the way your toilet works, actually, with the little float and the shut off valve. So you got your toilet carburetor here. And what can happen sometimes, if now, usually what I used to do, I would drain the carburetors for the winter time, because that gas that's sitting in there, if it sits in the carburetor for over the winter, it can get kind of gummy. It can get, a lot of condensation. It messes it up, especially with gas nowadays that has ethanol. So if that ever gets stuck, I'll use my eraser here. Okay, so that thing, without the fuel in there, that can go down to the bottom. All right, so it's down at the bottom here, and then you put some gas in it, and it might be stuck. So what you could do, and what happens if it gets stuck on the bottom, you got your gas coming in, but it's not going to shut off. So there's an overflow over here, and that starts pooling up on the ground, and they got gas on the ground, and that's no good. I've had that happen to me before, and it's like, oh, I didn't even know it was happening until someone explained it to me. But yeah, so what you can do there is you can get like just if it's stuck on the bottom, you just give it a knock with like a screwdriver, a light tap with a rock or whatever you got to tap it, and then it'll get it unstuck, pops up, and then you don't have all the fuel on the ground. Okay, so that's one thing to look for. If you first start up your bike, it starts pissing out gas all over the ground. Okay, stop it. And you probably got a stuck float. Okay. That's, yeah, mostly older bikes will have that. Okay. And number two, we're going to look at your road conditions. So when I was living up in a little bit more north, I've lived up in Sault Ste. Marie and Sudbury, up north, where they put a lot of sand on the roads in the wintertime, and you got to watch out for your road conditions. So after you, depending on where you live or your municipality is, they might put salt on the road, sand on the road. Everything melts, and you got to really watch it. On ramps are really bad for that. There might be a little bit of extra gravel that time of year before they can get the street sweeper out. So be very careful about your road conditions. And I've seen it before where a lot of the times up in Northern Ontario, big time, like right up until May, there can be ice on the road. And because what'll happen a lot of times is that, there'll be snow, ice, water melting, and maybe the sun will be able to melt the road, but you get into the shade of the trees and you could have a patch of ice there. So you got to really watch it, especially up in northern in the real part of Canada, not here in the banana belt of Canada. But yeah, you got to watch out for your road conditions. There we go. Now, let's just assume, like here in Windsor, everything's going to be great. Oh, the other thing too about the mechanical, going back to that, uh, I'm going to be checking my battery. It should be charged up, but you don't want to be going around with a dead battery too. Like you might just get it started, but if your bike conks out on you or something, and then you got a dead battery, now you got to worry about that too. So everything mechanical, take care of that. Make sure your road conditions are good. Number three, we're talking about you are going to plan your route. Or if you're from the south, it's going to be your route. So, anyways, yeah, plan your route. And I like to do it. Just don't go off on some great big huge excursion on your very first day. Like your your muscles and everything for riding the motorcycle are they're not used to it. You're gonna be really sore if you go. I'm just gonna hop on it and go 4 hours. It's like you're gonna be so stiff. Well, at least if you're old like me or older, it'll say. Uh, yeah, not everybody's 18 anymore. I kind of learned that because like this weekend I went to go see my neighbor Travis's band downtown, and so really good rock band. They playing all original songs, Transways. Check them out. And so we went there, and it's like it was pretty. It was kind of neat to go back into like at my age. You go back and you see all these kids that are really ready to rock, and these kids, they're 20. Oh well, I was a kid too, 20, or so they're. Yeah, it was kind of neat, and then you're yelling to each other because it's so noisy, and then you leave and your ears are all ringing and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, that's the way it is when you're rocking out. But where's it talking about? Oh yeah, planning your route. Yeah, because you're not young anymore like me. But so that's one thing to consider. Don't do it too far. I've done it before where it was a beautiful day here, and I just get on the road and everything's awesome. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep giving her. I'll go visit my buddy up in Hamilton. It's 3 hours away, first ride of the season. This is awesome. By the time I get up to London, which is about 2 hours up the road, it starts like kind of getting really cold. So I stopped off at the secondhand store, bought an extra sweatshirt. It's like, I don't care. I'm two-thirds of the way there now. So I'm going. And then by the time I got up to Hamilton, it was starting to snow and stuff. And I'm like, what do I do? Turn back? So that was a very poorly planned route. I had a good time there. And but then I had to ride back the next day and it was all rain and cold and terrible. I didn't have any rain gear. So okay, yeah, plan it out and make sure you go, not some big huge road trip. And it like the way that you do it in an airplane, if you're doing a test flight, this is really just a test ride for you. So you want to make sure the bike's all good, make sure you're getting back in the swing of things. And the way that you're supposed to do a test flight on an airplane is they always say, brief the flight and fly the brief. So it's like, okay, we're going to go up, we're going to test this specific thing, make note of it, come back. That's it. And we're only going to go exactly this far. So that's where you're supposed to do a test flight. And that's the way you should be doing a test motorcycle ride. Doesn't it, you can just, it's still fun. Come back, reassess the situation, maybe go out again. But yeah, so I would say probably start off. The route that you want to take is like not really far away. Like, I think when I take it tomorrow, I'll just kinda buzz downtown, cruise downtown, and because you gotta be cool cruising downtown, right, on the main drag, you gotta do that, so and then, probably go by the river a little bit because that's kinda scenic, and, yeah, maybe take it out on the highway a little bit, get it up to a little higher RPM. You do wanna get the oil up to a nice hot temperature to boil off any condensation that's in it. I mean, that's what we do that in airplanes, because you don't want that condensation in there rusting out any parts. So yeah, get it up nice and hot, see how things work. Check your if you got an oil cooler or something like that, or maybe your bike has a radiator. Is the thermostat working on that, right? So when you're done, kind of get your hand close to it, see if it's hot. Okay, great, it's working. Because it might the bike not might not be getting hot enough to even get those other fluids circulating and thermostats working and stuff. So get it nice and hot, and no passengers on the route because you're going to be rusty. Even though you've been doing it for years, that first ride, it always is just a little, maybe your head's not swiveling as much. Maybe your shifting's a little clunkier than normal till you get in the swing of things. So you don't want to have a passenger on the back kind of complicating that. And so start it off slow, go to a highway speed, come back home, check things out. You're all good. There you go. Enjoy your first ride, and then and you're back in the swing of things. Oh, let's keep it all blue here instead of black. All right. What else we got here? Now, this is my own personal little thing that you never see. Pilots are like this, and motorcycle riders are like this too a lot. Where it's just like it's all about the bike, it's about the ride, it's about da 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 da. But if you've ever read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, it's about your mind, man. It's true. If you got to have the right mindset to do this here. So let's. The motorcycle or the airplane is an extension of you. So if your mindset is all messed up, your riding's going to be messed up. Your flying's going to be messed up. It's anything you do is going to be messed up. So yeah, so you don't want to be you try to be in good spirits about it. Don't if you're dealing with some stress or something like that, your dog died, or whatever, you miss your kid because they went off to school. Yeah, you might want to, if you're really upset, don't really ride that day. Wait till you're feeling a little bit better. Go for a walk, clear your head, whatever. And don't be in a rush. Oh, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And then next thing you know, you're going to be blowing yellow lights and, rolling stop signs. Oh, man, I got T-boned. Whoa, well, why? Because I was in a rush. For what? I don't know. So, anyways, got to be in a good mindset for that too. And you don't really see that too much on the internet, people talking about it, but I found it to be very much, I don't know, my truth. I'll put it that way. Okay, and then we're going to talk the last thing here. Number 5, general safety. All right. So that's all your regular general safety, doing the stuff that you know you should do. And hey, Jim, I see you popping in here. Howdy. Okay, so general safety. This is what I always try to. It's been serving me well for many years. Is that I just assume that people can't see me. I pretend that I'm invisible. Well, and by pretending that I'm invisible doesn't mean I whip by the cop with the radar gun at 100 miles an hour. Okay, I assume that I'm invisible, that they're gonna crash into me or something like that. So there's that. The number one thing is just avoid the accidents. I've been very lucky, knock on wood. That's my only superstition there when I talk about motorcycles. Is I know I have to knock on wood if I say I've been doing pretty well. So yeah, general safety stuff. Assume you are invisible. Assume they're going to pull out in front of you. And I found it over the last few years. Like when I started riding 30 years ago, I guess that's how old this jacket is. Actually, that's part of the safety thing. 30-year-old Michael Jackson kind of 1992 jackets. But yeah, back in my day, I tell you, we used to always see these guys, and they go out and they get their crotch rockets. And I remember This one dude, these, you get your first really good summer job and you're 18 and you go out and you're 19, you go out and get yourself like get a loan, get a Ninja, and this one dude I saw, he had a beautiful bike. It was like the Kawasaki Green Ninja, um, or some kind of quad truck. Anyways, it was the Kawasaki Green, and he had matching helmet and leathers and all that stuff. And I just looked at this guy. It was like, oh my gosh, this kid's such a poser. It's like he's gonna be, uh, man, he's gonna be wiping out. And because there used to be a coffee shop downtown where at the beginning of the season, all the kids, well, we'll say 18-year-old kids. I guess you're a man technically there. These young men would get their bikes, and then they all took out their loans or whatever, and they got all their brand new crotch rockets. And I got my piece of crap old 70s rusty bike I keep outside. But I didn't want to take on a loan for that. And then like as the season would go through, the bikes would get like a little bit more scratched up, and then there'd be one less. And then like so to start off, you'd have like 10 bikes all in front of this coffee shop, and then by September they're down to like three and they're all scratched up. Yeah, and unfortunately, this one guy, saw him. He was like, "That kid's a hot dog. He's gonna kill himself." And turns out it was just a few weeks after I remember telling that to somebody I was with in the car, and look at the newspaper, and it's like, there's his bike, there's his helmet on the road, and you know, uh, motorcycle rider dies at intersection, taking the corner too fast. So it's like he did have the safety, but he didn't have the aged peace of mind there, where you gotta watch yourself. These bikes can be pretty fast. So, but yeah, you gotta have the leathers definitely. What type of leathers do you want to get? Because you figure about when you wipe out, right? You're gonna be going like it's your natural instinct to go So even if it's kind of I mean, these are my I got some thin Thinsulate leather gloves here. They're pretty good. So uh, if it's a little cooler, maybe I'll wear these. But I always try, even if I'm just, it's pretty hot and I'm being a bit of a squid, wearing a t-shirt. But I at least have some of these, the fingerless gloves. They're a little bit nicer in the summer. And then, if you're gonna wipe out, you're hitting that part of your hand, maybe the side over here, and there we go. So that's I got those guys. I don't know. I'll see how I feel tomorrow, and then it's people can go as heavy into the safety gear as they want. I mean, if you're wearing flip flops and no shirt and you're being all Mr. Cool, treating your Ninja like it's a scooter, it's like, well, you're asking for it. But this isn't like Chips, the California Highway Patrol. I was just going through the season two of Chips, and like they're wiping out on their bikes, and they get up, geez, Punch, geez, John, thanks, and like they don't have any like scuffs on their elbows or anything like that. I'm like, okay, and then when they take off their helmets, they just go, but that's not the way you do your helmet, right? So that's another thing too. What type of helmet do you want to ride? I'll just show you what I got here. I always keep them in the little bag because it keeps them less dusty. So we could either go full face or, and that's kind of personal preference. Full face, I've known quite a few people that have, let's just say the jaw would have been broken, the face would have been mashed up if it wasn't for the full face. So you also got the half shell here. I don't even really think about. They got the beanie ones that are kind of illegal. You got to have the nice DOT safety one there. I kind of like the half shell. I find it. I don't know. It's just a kind of a cooler experience, and it's not like I'm going a million miles an hour. I'm just booting around town, and this has like a zippable. You can take the liner out of there if you want. So, anyways, use some sort of party number 5 general safety, just some sort of helmet. Okay, I mean there's and even if you're the type of guy that says like I don't need a helmet, I'm not doing that, I got my rights. Sure, man. Like I've ridden before with no helmet on. I remember when I first got my motorcycle, I went down to Ohio so I could take off my helmet and drive around and be cool. And it was pretty cool. So, but and then I think in Michigan now they got rid of that. But I mean, on the highway, it's like, and actually another thing that I did, I burnt the hell out of my forehead. So it's like, oops. Yeah, and then if you wear a baseball cap, it's gonna fly off. So I don't know. I'd still wear some sort of helmet. And even if you're the type of guy that doesn't like to wear helmets, I'd say for your first ride, give it a shot. And then after that, you want to be cool, go for it. But hey, man, you, you everyone's got their own style, and I don't judge anybody by how fast they ride, how slow they ride, what they look like, how much gear they want to, whatever. We're all bikers. We all basically want to be safe at the end of the day. Well, I don't know. I guess you could call it motorcyclists. We'll call it that. And then another thing too about your general safety is that you want the temperature. I guess it could be kind of. I could have covered this under road conditions, but you don't want to be doing it on a really really cold day. Might be sunny, but if it's really, yeah, and you remember from last year, you forgot your jacket, you're wearing a t-shirt, the sun goes down, you're freezing on the way home. Everybody's done that. So yeah, you don't want the weather to be. And another thing too, if it's really cold, your hands get kind of stiff and everything, and then your clutch and brake are not. You're not operating at 100% efficiency there. So yeah, keep the weather good. So here we go. Let's just do a little review on this. Okay. Five tips for your first ride. Okay, number one, mechanical. How good is your bike? It's squishy brakes. How's your tire pressure? I'm gonna go check the battery on my bike right after this. And okay, if you start up your bike, do you have a stuck float? Remember how that? Give it a little knock, and it'll probably stop pissing out all that gas. Okay, road conditions. Be very wary of the extra sand on the road, gravel. Watch out for snow or wet leaves too. If there's a bit of wet leaves around, that can be pretty slick. Snow on the ground, specifically in where it's shady. You got to watch out for that. On ramps and off ramps too. Number three, plan your route. Plan it. I'm planning my route. I'm going to take it nice and easy. Take it slow, stop and go, get used to my clutch and everything. And then I'll take it out on the highway, get it all up to speed. And burn off any, evaporate any of the condensation that might be in the crankcase of the bike. Okay, mindset. Be at one with your motorcycle. Oh, but don't be all stressed out, and don't be in a rush. Just enjoy it. Say, this is my first little ride. I'm going to ride here and come back home. Check how was that? That was good. All right. Maybe get a little bit crazier on the next one. And then general safety, wear your leathers, whatever safety you want to do. Probably on the first one, your first ride of the season, be a little bit extra safe. Maybe your thicker gloves, wear your full face instead of your half shell. Yeah, whatever. So just and don't be riding around if it's like right around freezing, if it's too cold, and or like Wrench says, don't ride if it's less than 57. So anyways, yeah, okay. That's about it for today. I'll go through here and see if I can catch your questions. Check out cables and brakes according to Shecky here. Yep. No flip-flops. Yep, I agree. What else we got here? Oh yeah, okay. Wrenches. Yeah, okay. Wrench brought up this thing, Fort9. It's a YouTube channel called Fort9. I've actually bought. I didn't even know it, but I was checking out the. Yeah, it was like I saw this. I got this box. I bought some. Buy from them. I think oil filters from them. And then I found out they actually had a YouTube channel, and it was like, yeah, that guy is really good. You can tell he must be like an engineer or something like that. He gets really into the science. Like if you check out the Fort9 YouTube website, really good videos there, very good videos. And yeah, I agree, Ranch. That guy's good. I think he's based in Montreal, so Well, that's just a short 8-hour trip up the road for me, so that's good. Maybe 9, depending on how fast you ride. Okay, what else we got here? Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah, and Jim's assuming the same thing that I was talking on his yeah, this bicycle, that's a good point, Jim. All of these things they can also apply to your bicycle riding. I never really thought about that, but it works out really, yeah, all that stuff, would work for your, road conditions. What type of, how's your bicycle? What route are you gonna take? And then, yeah, David Proden, the safety doc, I'm talking to you, buddy. Make sure you're safe. Anyways, what else we got here? Yeah, good point, Jim. That applies for bicycles too. Okay, and here we go. Oh, and Dan popped in here too, so that's great. Cool. All right, so that's about it. Well, I hope everybody had a good Easter there. Hopefully you got lots of leftover ham and stuff. I got some. And what else can I tell you there? Yeah, that's about it. So, gonna do a little post production on this video afterwards. Put in my little comments and tags and YouTube stuff, and then I'm gonna check out the bike, get it all ready for tomorrow. I don't know. I might even make a video. Not sure. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Whatever. So there we go. Monday, we got this off to a start. So it means I'll be back on Wednesday. Why? Because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. We'll just kind of shut her down. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for everyone coming into the chat, and thank you for watching. Bye.